Let us discuss about 27th May 2015 articles today. The first one is related to the Modi's upcoming visit to Dhaka. So what are the things that is going to be expected out of this? The first one is the Teesta River water sharing agreement will be about to be completed. Way back during Manmohan Singh era itself, an agreement was about to be signed, but opposition from West Bengal Chief Minister has put it on backtrack. Now it appears that it will be almost completed. Next is a $2 billion credit line is on offer to the government or to the Bangladesh. And the third thing is on the front of connectivity, Kolkata, Dhaka, Agartala bus service will be started. And next is other services from Dhaka to Shillong, Dhaka to Guwahati, Shillong, Dhaka to Guwahati, Dhaka to Agartala may also be started. So these are the various things which are being expected with regard to the Modi's trip. Now, but however, the Chinese involvement in Bangladesh in development of its port facilities is a cause of concern for India. Especially the Paira deep sea port, which the Chinese were actively engaged in its development or interested in development, is a major concern to India, which Prime Minister may discuss. However, in the existing government, the passage of land boundary agreement and international arbitration and judgment on maritime boundary, all these show an increasing understanding between the government of India and the government of Bangladesh. Now, the Salafi war on Sufism. The Sufism is based on peace and assimilation of the cultures. The Salafis, Wahhabis belongs to this particular Salafis. However, Wahhabis distinguish themselves from Salafis. So, the Salafis, they believe in annihilation of other sects. Now the Salafis everywhere, they are fighting against the Sufis. Now if you see the mainstream news, we see Sunnification of Islam and Sunnis dominating the Shias and the conflicts, or moderate voices in the Islam getting attacked by the radical fragments. But however, the Sufis being attacked by the Salafis, it is not getting a greater attention. The Sufi shrines, Sufi symbols, they are attacked not just in India, across the world. So in this context, the Sufis, so if you can remember that in India, the Chistis, Qadris, Madharis, Suharwadis, all these are the Sufi saints. And next is Shadlis in Tunisia, and their all important sites are also under attack. So in this case, author argues that what can be destroyed is the symbols, but not the Sufi philosophy, which questions the annihilatory Salafist ideologies. That's what is the author's argument is about. So it means that, so here if you can clearly see that what cannot be destroyed by arson or attacks are the powerful of some of the ideas of the Sufi masters that contest against the annihilatory Salafist ideologies. So these are the things we need to remember. And next is the Varun Gandhi. I told you a series of articles are coming up in Hindu. He is releasing different poems or his booklets on various of his ideas, and also he is coming up with a sociological essays. Now what all these things are? The author says probably it's a image makeover which the Varun Gandhi is trying. So after his hate speech, where he said he will chop off the hands or something, so now it's a conscious image makeover which he is trying to make or appear himself as a thinking politician. Next is with regard to the Kashmir, one is positive thing. There is another a negative thing happened recently. So on the positive side, the festival in Kashmir, the Pandit festival in Kashmir, and next a lake in Kashmir. So these are showing the signs of hope. Let us see this. Now there is a festival that is called as Kheer Bhavani Mela in Kashmir, which is where Pandits consider as auspicious. So in this Kheer Bhavani festival, most of the people who provide for the supportive services, that is local Muslims. And second thing is the symbols of worship of Kashmiri Pandits are mostly the natural forms. If you take the Sharika Hill or Raghia Spring, all these are the natural forms which they worship. Now in this Raghia Spring, the color of the water is huge symbolic value to the Kashmiris. It was said that when the Kashmiris' black days are going on, during 1990s, the color of the water turned black. This year the color of the water is blue. It means it is symbolizing the return of hope to Kashmir. Next is heavy hand in Kashmir, which may be a reason for the alienation of the Kashmiris in India. Now, to decrease the mortality and morbidity, the UPA government replaced the lethal weapons with non-lethal weapons for law enforcement. These non-lethal weapons such as pepper grenades and the pellet guns, these are widely used now by the Kashmiri police and other establishments. And these pellet guns were very much controversial. It has led to the permanent grievous injury, damage of the vital organs, even sometimes death. Recently, a young student, Mr. Butt, he lost his vision because of the firing from this pellets. So it is the time government has to think over about the withdrawing of these particular heavy weaponry. And next is Krishna Kumar's article, who is the NCERT director. It is a very much a thought-provoking article over here on the role of the caste in India. Is the caste is confined as the main line or mainstream thinking majorly says it or keeps it into the rural front. So he says that the caste is all pervasive. The caste is all pervasive. It is an important factor in our social life. Now if you can see matrimonies, that is marriages, socialization of children, social status, occupation performed, and many other things, the caste plays an important role. And the popular belief is the modernization will undermine the importance of the caste or weaken the caste. On the other hand, the modernization is taking for the expression of the caste in a new form. It is clearly visible with regard to the caste or caste-related identities and sub-identities which are created in the internet world. So now, though the caste is all pervasive, the mainstream thinking is confining it to the rural India. So there are certain prejudicial thinking against the rural India. What it says is, the caste is the major factor, and next is there is a lot of ignorance, and the rural India is been signified with past. And third thing is the gender bias and discrimination is high in rural India. That's the reason why the development means the rural India has to be transformed as urban India. So it means the policy makers are too much influenced by this dogmatic understanding of the rural India. That is, there is a high caste consciousness and villages are stagnant with the past, and so we have to convert them into towns. So that's why it has led to a mono modernism which flows from very simplistic understanding of this rural India. With simplistic understanding of rural India. So the policy making of the entire establishment revolves around this. So what we need to understand is the rural and urban India, they are not contradictory to each other. They are not two rival phenomenon. We have to see them as a continuum with their own peculiarities. If the development is about transforming rural India into urban India, then better the development need not be seen. That's what is the Krishna Kumar talks about. So it means we shall see both the rural and urban Indias as a continuum with many intermediary forms that overlaps with each other. So this prejudice and the determinism has to be done away with regard to the rural India. And next is the rate of poverty reduction fastest under UPA. So as said, the growth is essential for development. Without growth, there cannot be development. So growth can exist without development, but development cannot exist without growth. So the growth has led to the reduction in poverty. It is clearly visible with regard to the UPA-1 government. The highest poverty reduction is between 2005-2006 to 2011-2012, when India had the highest growth visible. And next is the government with regard to the financial front, etc. So it's going to improve the situation. So what Aravind Subramanian says is, he also pitches for the RBI rate cut. Once the RBI cuts the rates, the availability of the credit increases. The cost of the credit is going to come down. The volume of the credit will increase. Cost of credit will come down. The cost of production will come down. It increases exports and makes the Indian goods competitive. And next is, the second thing is, the major concern is agricultural distress and the poor monsoon scenario. So, the other thing is stalling of various projects in India. So most of the projects, they are not been moving forward. So these are the concerns have to be done away with or are to be overcome towards improving or kickstarting our economy again and boosting the private investment in the country. So the recent, the 5x25 with regard to the infrastructure projects can be seen as a positive move, where all the projects are considered and revised for every 5 years. So because the infrastructure projects have a huge gestation period for more than 25 years, the loans which are given by the banks will be revised for every 5 years, and the loans or the money will be reloaned from the other sources. So this is what is the positive steps towards improving the private investment and taking the infrastructure projects forward. These are the news in today's newspaper. Thank you very much.